A Hurricane Janet story. Hurricane Janet devastated Grenada during the month of September 1955. Somehow, September has not been kind to Grenada where hurricanes are concerned because both Janet and Hurricane Ivan occurred during the month of September. And now, a Hurricane Janet story. I was on my way to Mount Granby, St. John, Grenada, with Brother Mac, a very good friend, when I found it necessary to pause and stare at the Point Grand Mall areas. Hurricane Lenny revisited my mind. The year was 1999 when Hurricane Lenny, dubbed Wrong Way Lenny, impacted the northern Leeward Islands and sent a storm surge that slammed into the western coastal areas of Grenada. Lenny was called Wrong Way Lenny because it took a different path. Unlike the customary track of Atlantic hurricanes from east to west, coming from Africa, Lenny spent its time moving from west to east. Now the storm surge made me think of the dangers of living on coastal areas. One must be prepared at all times for the unexpected and the expected. Now the people who lived on the coastal areas in Indonesia and Sri Lanka, well, they can recall the stories of the horrors caused by massive waves during the tsunami that happened some time ago. They had more of their share of misfortune in the past. So Mother Nature is often kind to us, but there are times when it rains its hostility on people. I remember the time Hurricane Janet turned Melville Street in Grenada into part of the Caribbean Sea. Now back to the story. We arrived at the hills of Mount Granby, and I was fascinated by the mountain greenery. But there was something else there that gripped my attention. There was a dilapidated house, the abiding evidence of the wrath of Hurricane Ivan, which sparked tornadoes in Grenada in 2004. Years before, in 1955, that house was a welcome sanctuary for those who were threatened by the might of Hurricane Janet. A nearby stream that turned into a river that night, but was not able to loosen its foundation. That's the foundation of that house. Brother Mac pointed to the house and told me of the final prayers they said on that night of Hurricane Janet, for they all believed that they were going to die while in that house. They prayed and exercised faith, and God saved their lives. It is good that one can sift through the pages of history and dig up a memory that can help stifle the pain Mother Nature often inflicts. It is pleasing to stare at a house that became a shield to people when the winds and the rain combined to create havoc. I often refer to a kind woman called Miss Ferguson, who opened her doors to my mother and brothers when Hurricane Janet raged outside. God bless her soul. Rest in peace, kind woman. So my friend recalled how he and his relatives gathered to pray during a monster called Janet. Now, nature has a way of making even those who do not believe in God to forget their doubts and to pray. They prayed while the howling songs bombarded their eardrums. The wonderful thing was God heard their prayers, which rose above the rumble of Hurricane Janet. When daylight broke, they cleared the tree branches that flung their way into the house. That night, Janet was not kind to a Rayburn family who resided in Sotez, St. Patrick, for it washed away family members and the house where they stayed. And now, a poem, Hurricane Janet. Hurricane Janet. The rain came down in thunderous might. Huge billows leaped right into sight. Sturdy roots, no anchor be, the massive trees washed out to sea. The wind, its voice an eerie song, the fury heard for miles around. Rivers from the banks overflow destruction and the mighty blow. The pier no longer could withstand the constant blast, the furious band. The trees in bloom, the harvest full, shattered by the raging bull. Oh, Janet, remember thee, true monster from the distant sea. Our spirit, though you fail to shake, despite the horror left in your wake. Anthony Wendell de Riggs. And as we approach the month of September 2024, let us pray we do not see anything like Ivan or Janet, or more recently, the storm known as Beryl, which devastated Pittimaknik, Carriacou, parts of St. Vincent, and the northern part of Grenada, especially St. Patrick, caused a lot of destruction there. God bless. We can only hope, prepare, and pray.